So, Councillor Dodge.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the Budget Standing Committee meeting for Monday, June 17th, 2024. And I'm going to call this meeting to order, and I am the vice chair and I will be chairing this meeting today. So I would like to look to Councillor McPherson for the land acknowledgement, please.
Land on which council meets today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabeg peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many Indigenous peoples made up of First Nation, Inuit, and Métis. The Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement should remind us of our responsibility to ensure the Dish, the territories on which we live and work, is never emptied, and that we take care of the land and its inhabitants in a way that ensures its future sustainability.
Thank you, Councillor McPherson. So moving forward now with the chair's report, I don't have a chair's report, but I would like to look to the deputy clerk for the budget schedule. Just a review of that, please.
So the plan for this fall for the budget readoption process, it was brought forward to the last budget standing committee meeting, but just as a recap for the members of the budget standing committee, at the October 23rd council budget meeting, staff will provide an overview of the draft readoption budget for 2025 and 2026. Then on October 28th, the agenda for the November 6th council budget meeting will be published, and that will include the mayor's readoption budgets, and that will begin the 30-day process for council to amend the budgets. At the November 6th council budget meeting, the mayor will present his readoption budgets to council, and members of the public will be able to do delegations to the budgets at that meeting. Then on November 20th, there will be a council budget meeting where council will be able to bring forward amendments to the readoption budgets. Amendments for this meeting must be submitted by November 13th at 4 p.m. to staff. The reason for this is so that, as we did this year for amendments to the budget, allows staff time to prepare information on the financial impacts of any budget amendments, so that information is provided to council prior to the meeting. And then November 26th is the end of the 30-day amendment period. If there are any amendments brought forward, the mayor then has a 10-day veto period from November 27th to December 6th, in which he can veto any amendments brought forward by council. And then following this, there is a 15-day period in which council can pass a resolution which council can pass a motion via a vote of 2/3 to override any of the mayor's vetoes. And all this information will be brought forward again for a reminder for council and BSC in the fall. And the information will be updated on the city's website as well, so that the information is available to the public, so they're aware of the plans for this fall.
Thank you for that update, Deputy Clerk. So now I'll move on to the adoption of the agenda, and I'll look to the Deputy Clerk for the amendment to the agenda.
So there's no amendment to the order of the agenda today. However, there is an amendment being made to two fees for in item 9.1 in Appendix 3 regarding the online tax certificate fee and the manual certificate fee. And the treasurer will provide more information on these fees as part of her introductory comments for item 9.1.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adopt this agenda? Councillor Phillips. And can I have a seconder, please? Councillor McPherson. Thank you. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Thank you. It's carried. So we have the adoption of the minutes, but we do not have any minutes to adopt this evening. And declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, thank you. Motion to move consent reports. No reports have been requested to be moved from consent. And can I have a mover to approve the consent agenda. Councillor McPherson, and I don't need a seconder for that. All in favor?
Oh, actually, we need a recorded vote on this one.
I'm sorry. I'm
Counselor
sorry.
Dodge? No, that's okay. So I'll just read the consent listing and then we'll do the recorded vote. So on the consent agenda for this evening, item 8.1, engineering facilities and environmental services and financial management services, 2024 strategic asset management policy update. Item 8.2, financial management services, 2024 first quarter operating financial update. Item 8.3, Financial Management Services, Capital Project Report for first quarter ended March 31st, 2024. And item 8.4, Financial Management Services, 2024 Mid-Year Grant Funding Update. And the recorded vote on this, Councillor McPherson,
Yes.
Councillor Phillips,
Yes.
Councillor Ratzlaff,
Yes.
Councillor Garcia. You can raise your hand, Councillor Garcia, and I can see if you do that, I can count that as a vote. If you raise, Councillor Garcia, do you wish to vote on this? Can't hear. Okay, so we'll count that as no vote. And Mayor Cisco
In approval.
and Vice Chair Dodge,
Yes,
and that's carried.
thank you. Now we move to discussion reports. Financial Management Services Director recommended update to the 2024 to 2026 schedule of rates and fees and user fees setting research. And prior to discussing this report, Kristen Douglas, Director of Financial Management Services, will provide a brief introductory comments. And can I have, okay. So Christine?
Thank you through you, Madam Vice Chair, to the committee members. So before you this evening is the update to the 2024 to 2026 rates and fees. This report includes 25 fees that are recommended for amendment. The reason for these fees coming forward is with regards to there being some changes that have happened since last June when Council approved the rates and fees for the multi-year budget from 24 to 2026. The details are included in the report, and there are representatives here from all of the various departments to speak to any specific questions that council may have. With regards to the online tax certificate fee, after the agenda had been published, city staff received information from the service provider that they had determined that they would be deferring their fee increase from 2024 to take effect January 1st, 2025. So hence the reason we're deferring that fee increase to 2025. Also in the report is information as requested with regards to the city's user fee process that we use for setting our rates and fees and subsidization of our various rates and fees. And staff are here to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Okay. Sorry, Councillor Garcia, did you have something? Can you hear us now?
Madam Chair, I can finally hear you.
Okay.
When I finish this meeting, I'm going to throw this iPad in the lake. Anyway, God, I can't believe the time that I've spent trying to get the sound here. Anyway, no, just to share with the committee, as we asked at the agenda meeting, a question on the fees for the golf course that I know staff said that they were working on different ideas regarding the fees for the golf course to make sure that we can maintain it and keep it as a benefit. So maybe if staff could comment on that.
Through you, Madam Chair. So there was several new fees that were proposed for the golf course this year that aligned with our competitor golf courses in the area. And those were package deals, packages of 10 for 9 holes and 18 holes, as well as packages of 10 for the power carts to go with those packages. In general, they've been very well received from the public. They were instituted by mistake at the start of the season, and we have put them on hold until council passes formal approval on them, if they choose to do so. But generally speaking, they represent the same sort of service that's being offered by the competitors, and they're also price-wise very in line with our competitors as well.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer. You, Madam Chair, so you're still looking at other ideas, perhaps?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, we are continuing to look at some ideas with respect to the golf experiences, as well as the food and drink experiences to be had at the golf course, in ways to try to improve and enhance service, and therefore increase revenues associated with it as well.
Thank you.
Are you through, Councillor Garcia?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor, Cisco?
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of questions. So in going through the proposed fees, seeing the master plan review fee and the building fee increases, led me to wonder, there's been a lot of conversation, obviously, with respect to affordability and the city and the region's role to play in affordability. Have we done a full review of the fees we're charging for development applications and the development process with an eye towards affordability? Is that something we've undertaken in the last, say, 4 years, since pre-COVID times? Specifically, I guess, during the housing crisis. Chair, I guess through you to the director.
Through the chair to the mayor. So yes, as part of the Streamlined Development Fund that awarded the City of St. Catharines money to review its development applications, we also did what was called a comprehensive fee review study. We had a task force at that time that included members of the development community. We had retained through the procurement process Watson and Associates, who sat down in all of our departments and did what was called an activity-based costing model. This meant that they analyzed our development application processes, determined which level of staff performed, which level of review, took an average application with the average amount of time spent on it and what that salary was, and put together a fee schedule for council to put our fees more in line with what our competitors are, our competitors and comparators are, with a mind of being more responsible to the taxpayer. So the building department, since Bill 124 in January of 2006, operates on an enterprise model, and that is expected to be 100% cost recoverable, and any fees that are collected over and beyond that go into a reserve fund. The new fee processes that we have delivered on since the new comprehensive fee review are to get development planning to approximately between 50 and 75% cost recoverable, and policy planning would remain for the most part being on the tax levy itself. So at the time, the perspective was that growth pay for growth, and that developers pay for the service that staff deliver when reviewing applications.
Okay, so I appreciate that explanation, and I'm hoping through you, Chair, I don't know if this would be to the Director of Finance or the Director of Planning, but if we could have that information placed in some form of covering memo to Council when they receive this, for a couple of reasons. First, because I think it's important to recognize that we go through these exercises on a semi-regular basis. And it's also, I think, important, and I think the director did a good job of explaining that even though the goal is cost recovery, we don't actually recover the entirety of the costs, that many of those costs are still borne by the levy. And in an age when we are facing a lot of criticism for lack of affordability, and some are trying to heap scorn on cities and regions. One former planner from Toronto, to be named later, doing a lot of it just this past weekend. I think it's important that that information is out there and that the media has access to it so that they understand that this is not a money-making exercise for the city, that this is simply us trying to recover the costs that are a part of the application process. So I guess I'm hoping that the Director of Finance can indicate, she's indicating with a nod of the head for those who can't see it, that we can have a covering memo. And I appreciate that because, like I said, I think it's instructive for council, but I also think it's instructive for the general public. And hopefully if the media chooses to write about this issue, they recognize that we are still not recovering the costs that these processes take. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I'm sorry, because I couldn't hear, I don't know if this was discussed already, but based on the question from the mayor, did you have a discussion with the capital budget update regarding the fact that new legislation regarding affordable housing exemptions may require more from the levy for development to cover the development charges exemptions? And we discussed at the agenda setting meeting, trying to find out when will we have a better idea of what this will entail.
Yeah, Councillor Garcia, we had not discussed that yet, but thank you for that. I don't know if you want to ask a question to the staff for that.
Yeah, if I could ask the Director of Finance if they have any more updates as to when we might know, or I don't know if it's Director Kite that would know when we would have a better feel for whether it's going to impact the levy in terms of these exemptions of the development charges for affordable housing.
Through you, Madam Vice Chair, I'll maybe start off with the question. So to you, Mr. Chair, there was information, as we had discussed in the one of the consent reports with regards to our Q1 capital variance and just the impact that recent provincial legislation approvals receiving royal assent, and with regards to the city's DC exemption funding strategy. Staff will be working for the second quarter update, and as we bring forward the readoption budget, we will have to look at our DC funding strategy with regards to how we're going to continue to fund these DC additional exemptions that have received royal assent. I'm not sure if the Director of Planning has any further comments at this time.
Through the chair, through the vice chair to the chair, I do not have any further comments. The treasurer wrapped it up perfectly, and there is some supplementary information already available on the impacts of Bill 185.
Thank you both.
Thank you. So, Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Through you, it's a question with regards to the demountable stages and the fee for that. I'm in looking at the comparators. I just going through what's happened with sort of some of the things at Pride and the additional costs that they had to take on because they had to upgrade their type of stage because of provincial requirements. I'm just curious about looking at some of the comparators. They're pretty significantly lower than what's being proposed, and I'm just wondering specifically with the stages, not the structures, but because quite a few of the events that would probably require such a stage are also charitable events. So I'm just curious about that, that fee, and is there an opportunity to, I don't know, make sure that it's not impacting community events? Thank you.
I'm not sure who would be answering that question.
I can answer the question through the Madam Chair. Through you to the councillor, the Ontario Building Code regulations were amended about 15 months ago to include a requirement for building permits for demountable stages or these temporary stages. You see them for rock concerts and things like that. And the result, that was the result of someone tragically dying on one of these stages in a wind event. So quickly the code was amended. Our bylaw didn't keep up with that. So we have a whole range of other designated structures such as solar panels and retaining walls. And there's a whole list of other designated structures. So using the Watson report and the time it takes to review and issue permits and inspect the work on all those other designated structures, I think we just use the same dollar amount. I spoke to staff, said it would take about the same amount of their time and effort to get these permits reviewed, issued, and inspected. So if there's opportunities for council to deliberate sponsoring one of these events, and helping defer the cost of permits, that would be fine. But as my director mentioned, we can't really be losing money on building permits.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I guess I'm just concerned about some of the community events where they do have limited budgets, and so adding $1,000 basically to their costs can be impactful. Is this will these structures be inspected? Because some of the events happen on the weekend. Is there an opportunity, like if it's not set up on a Friday, there will be staff obviously available to work on the weekend? Will that increase the cost as well, or?
No, the industry knows that these stages need to be inspected on the Friday or Thursday of the Friday before the event. It's common, through the chair, it's common knowledge by all the stage installers, because this is a provincial requirement that they need to communicate with the building departments early in the process and to obtain their permits early in the process. And I would imagine in St. Catharines, there is a sort of a seat committee or some kind of committee that can inform promoters of these, like a special events committee, that they can advise the promoters of these events. Don't forget to get your permits for your stages and your tents and your bleachers. Okay,
that's great. I guess just a question through you, Madam Vice Chair. Do we have a seat committee? Do we have a special events activation team, or I don't know who can answer that.
Through Madam Chair, we are currently working on activating a seat committee. So CRCS is working with Fire Management Services to create one.
Okay, is there a timeline for that? My apologies. Through.
No apologies. Through you, Madam Chair, imminent. We're working on it soon.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor McPherson. I see no other questions waiting to be asked. So can I have a councillor move the staff recommendation? Councillor Phillips? Can I have a councillor second the staff recommendation? Councillor Garcia? Oh. And then I'll look to the deputy clerk to call a recorded vote, please.
Okay, on the motion, Councillor Phillips?
Yes.
Councillor Ratzlaff?
Yes.
Mayor Cisco?
Indeed.
Councillor McPherson?
Yes, indeed.
Chair Garcia?
Yes.
And Vice Chair Dodge?
Yes.
And that's carried.
Thank you. And then on to number 10, motions, and there are no motions. Call for notices of motions to be discussed at the next meeting. No notices of motion have been submitted. Are there any notices of motion for the next BSC meeting? Seeing none, we'll move on to report requests, and there are none of those either. And then we go to the closed session, which we have nothing for closed session this evening. And therefore, we have no motions arising from closed session. And number 15, adjournment. Can I have a counselor move a motion? Counselor McPherson. Didn't need to be so quick, but and can I have a seconder? Counselor Phillips. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you.